Welcome to the Women's
Excellent.
Network, the Women's Wellness Network. We've got to get all those words in there, right?
That's right. I'm so excited to be here with you.
Thank you so much for coming. Um,
Absolutely.
well, let's start first with your who you are, Reverend Coach Jini. Like that's a whole bunch of stuff. So can you give us a little introduction into yourself?
Well, it is. I call myself Reverend Coach Ginny for many, many reasons. I've had many mystical and spiritual experiences in my lifetime, and I also do life coaching. So I'm not just taking in the personality or how you are showing up for me. I'm taking the essence of who you are. I have a very um, powerful intuition and seeing through to the soul of you while I hear you speaking the words that help me guide you and ask you where it is. Because I think we all have this innate higher intelligence. And so I try to tap into that with each person that I work with.
That's nice because I mean we are all individuals, and yeah, the more personalized I think anything is, the better it can be for us. So
Exactly.
where in the world are you residing? Where are you coming to us from?
I am in the mountains of southern Colorado in the Rocky Mountains.
That's beautiful. It's still winter there.
No, it is so much like spring, which is very scary because there's still 2 months of winter possible.
Ooh, I hear
Yeah,
you. We're here in Ontario and it's winter, so spring
yeah,
would be very
no.
welcome. So how did you get into the coaching and what set you on your journey?
Uh, thank you for asking that. So, in 2005, I took a course with a gentleman called Greg Bear, who wrote a book, Real Love, and I wanted to heal my relationship with my mother before she passed away. And I actually did. And it wasn't about me changing or her changing, but it was about telling the truth and not having any expectations of my mother to be any different than she was. And then it stopped triggering me into that mother-child relationship, and I could just stay in my center and just be present with her and just see her for who she was. And some amazing things came out of that that was very, very healing on so many levels. So with that, I guess I continued the work in my home for a year and a half, teaching the real love principles, and had somebody tell me that they thought I'd really be good as a life coach, but it would be 20 years before I would step into that role and really own it and believe it to be possible for me.
So I think this might bring us to the whole reason and what you actually do. Please tell us a little bit about your own Facebook group and what you're doing over there.
I'll definitely do that, but I also want to share something about my perspective and my beliefs at this time in my evolution about health as well. So the reason why I started my group is I wasted 20, 30 years thinking I wasn't enough. I felt very insecure. Who would listen to me? Lots and lots of self-doubt. I didn't get support growing up. If anything, that tough relationship with my mother was just the opposite. She was very, very critical. And a miracle happened 2 weeks before she passed away. She said, asked me out of the blue, do I like myself? Well, and I've been doing self-help my whole life. So I said, well, as a matter of fact, I do. Why? She says, I hate myself. And I wish you could see all those neurons go off in my head. It's like, what could, it was never about me. She was just projecting onto me everything she felt about herself. And it was never, ever any of those things about me. And the freedom I got about that, I mean, 95% of the stuff just fell away. The only things that stuck were the things that I took on myself that was for me to let go. But most of it, it was like, oh my God, it was never about me. And that was so freeing. And then when my husband passed away recently with his dream still in him, it got me thinking about my immortality and being older. And I'm like, do I really want to be laying on my deathbed, not sharing this wisdom and this knowledge that I have with others so that they don't have to waste 20, 30 years like I did? I feel super passionate about that.
I can tell you, I would have really appreciated you as a coach for myself a few years ago. Um, not being able to step outside of myself and be empowered and go for it. So that you've managed to come up with this whole idea of helping other people who were just like me. And I know your focus is a little bit, your younger self. But I know so many people that are still ready and viable and feel like they want to start. And, got to start somewhere.
Right. And helping them get rid of the stops, and the things that hold them back, because they're not really real. They're just smoke and mirrors. And it's like whatever I am statement you make, that's what you manifest. We are such powerful creators. We don't realize it. So even if you're in a mess, if you can reverse engineer it and see all the choices and things you said to yourself and others and see how you created that situation, then you can create something new. And it doesn't mean it's not scary, as you and I both know. Coming out is very scary, but when you have a really strong support system of other women that are all on your team and very positive and supportive and hold you accountable, then it's I wasted too much time being a solopreneur, and I didn't appreciate the power of women supporting each other. Well, and just any group a tribe that's on the same wavelength as you, how powerful that really is. And we're so much stronger together.
That just really triggered something for me. You said solopreneur. So if you just take those words and separate them a little bit, and you got soul, but it's not SOUL, not that kind of soul. And that's the kind that we need, that, we lift each other up and pull each other up. And that sounds exactly like what you are striving to do. Instead of the soul, like the kind that's on the bottom of your shoe and the old way where we used to, climb on top of each other. Yeah, it doesn't work that way so much anymore.
No, and it's like, I was born in the 60s and it was like, rah, rah, hear me roar, I am woman, and we were trying to create our independence, and break through I'm old enough where I left my home at 16 because of an arranged marriage. Yeah. So, I've been on my own a long time and I had to rely on myself a lot, and it served me to a certain point, but then I realized I needed community and I needed friendship and like-minded people in my life. I hit a plateau, and this is to go to the next level.
It sounds so exciting. I'm really interested to hear like what kind of little things you do with these women. Like, do you have like a certain criteria that they kind of follow, or is there you just really hone in on each person individually?
Well, I have two options. I'll be launching my new course. I beta tested it over the holidays and I'm upgrading it. But there's a foundation, whether you're in business for yourself or just for your life, is creating that solid foundation and knowing why you're doing what you're doing, and not just on the surface for money or anything superficial. We go really deep into what's in your heart and what's in your soul. What is your purpose? Why are you doing what you're doing? Because you'll need that for the tough times. It's not just smooth sailing. It's like plateaus that you hit to go before you go to the next level. And then we all carry around baggage. There's two exercises in there that I absolutely love, and one is called release. And I take you through this meditation to release any stuck energy you have with a person, present or past. They could be, deceased, but to clear that up so you're not carrying around that energy that's pulling you down, stuck energy. And then I do a really deep compromise exercise because we are taught how to compromise ourselves. We didn't know that as children. We're taught it. And how it affects us, and how it plays out, and where it you might discover where it started in childhood. For me, the example is I was in a room full of adults. There was this couple there, and we called him Uncle Buddy, but I don't think he was a blood relative. And I was pressured into sitting on his lap and giving him a kiss on the cheek at 5 years old. And every part of my being was like, oh, no, this is wrong. But I was 5 and there's a room of adults and I just did it. So from that point on, that was the beginning of learning how to compromise myself and not speaking up when it didn't feel right. And every once in a blue moon, I'll catch myself and notice that I should have spoke up and I didn't because I was conditioned not to. So it's just part of the human experience, but being able to recognize it puts you in the power seat, and it's about taking your power back.
That is awesome. That's like, yeah, we all could use to remember that or even know that. A lot of people aren't even aware. And I suppose that's the thing, finding somebody to help us come to that awareness so that we can heal our own selves and just move out of those little things that we don't even realize are holding us back.
Right. So many times, especially as women, we're taught to be nice, and go along and not make waves when, it may feel like, no, this is wrong for me, but then I do it anyway. And of course, then you end up paying for it one way or another, be it your health or circumstantial. It just, it can show up in a myriad of different ways.
Yeah, it's nice to see the world seems to be shifting a little bit, and we're finding more of our voice and more of our power, and I think our groups ourselves, yourself and your group and my little group that I'm creating, gives us that place to, that foundation that you're speaking to, gives us somewhere to start. And I think a lot of people are just really not sure. Where do you begin? Where do you start? Where do I look? Who do I trust? And I think things like this really help people to understand and see who we are on the inside. And you have this beautiful energy about you. You can see just when you speak even is very welcoming and warm. And I think a lot of people are going to resonate with that whole, sorry, the being held part.
Exactly. And there is one thing I want to share with your group that it's my own personal philosophy and how I take care of myself. Whenever I feel discord in my body, be it my knee hurts or stomach ache or whatever, the very first thing I do is I usually go to Louise Hayes, is my favorite, and see what the spiritual message is of why I'm not feeling well. And then I take a look at what's happening in my life and where am I being out of alignment with myself and spirit. And 99%, out of 100 times, I recognize it right away. I was like, oh, I see what I'm doing. I see, and I get back in alignment because our natural state is well-being. And the only reason why we're out of alignment is because we're not paying attention to something. Or I always know in advance where I might get sick, because when I used to work for somebody else and I was feeling very stressed out, the thought would come, I need a stay well day. I was like, oh, I'll take it next week. Oh, I'll take it next week. I just got to get this stuff done. And I didn't take it. And sure enough, I'd get sick every time. I was like, damn it, I knew I should have taken that day off, to take some self-care. So it's learning to listen to our inner selves and then take the action to what we're hearing.
I think most of the time the action is hard for people to take. It's like, I know I should, but you get comfortable in the uncomfortable sometimes even.
Well, and you put everybody else, typically, not always, but a lot of times, a lot of us put, and when you're a young mother, you have to put your child before you. Um, but then it becomes the habit where we start putting everybody else's needs ahead of our own. And I think that's a cultural conditioning. That's an expectation of us. And so we're having to learn how to find the balance and do self-care as well.
Do you have any more, do you have any practices that you really love to do just for yourself? I know you spoke to the one, but is there anything that you, on a personal side, not being the coach, just being something that you
Just
really
me in
love to
my own
do?
life.
Yeah.
I there's two things I do. One is I talk to my spirit every day, all day long. Once I learn how to get in touch with it, it's always there just waiting for me to talk to. The other thing I do every moment I can that I'm thinking about it is appreciation. Oh my God, it's such a powerful, powerful tool. And that's why I live where I live, where I look at the snow-capped mountains or the beautiful ponderosa trees and, the really fresh air that we have here. And then this little resort town that I happen to live in has healing waters that the native Ute Indians had discovered. And of course, we took it. But we have some of the deepest mineral waters in the world. And so every other day I go swimming in them. So it's taking that time in the morning to just be with yourself. If you have kids, get up an hour before them. I used to have a ritual of sitting in the dark with a cup of coffee by myself with my own thoughts. Then I'd get myself all ready before all the chaos broke out. But I was ready to go. So then I could be more patient and more relaxed with them. That was huge when I discovered that.
That's beautiful practices. I too love to do the darkness in the morning with my coffee and just be with my thoughts and myself and my spirit you know, and wow, to be so lucky to live in an amazing place that has healing waters. Like there's not a lot of places on the planet, I think, anymore are, accessible to things like that. And um, I'm thankful that there's still some available,
Well, this
even.
particular one is a third generation because all the other hot springs in the other are commercialized. So they dilute it with water. They have to put chemicals in it because of the number of people that come and go in them. So this particular thing is the third generation in the same family. It's not, shiny and sexy, but it's a pool and, it's cleaned every 2 weeks. It's refreshed. They got grandfathered in so they don't have to use any chemicals whatsoever. So I feel so see, it's sometimes I take it for granted. I have in the past, and I have to remind myself, no, if I think about living somewhere else, I'm like, oh, but they don't have mineral waters. Why would I want to leave?
That's so true. It's so true. We do. Right in our own backyard, there's so many things that we can utilize for ourselves, for healing, for our own, our own well-being and our self-care. And we just look past them sometimes. We don't even pay attention.
No, I have
Um,
to travel to a bigger city now when I need alternative health.
oh,
That's one thing I don't have here, but I do know where to get it. So, and that's another thing is stepping into your power and your purpose so that you can have the resources and the finances to get whatever triple A healthcare, natural health, whatever it is anywhere in the world.
really finding the things that float your own boat.
Mm-hmm.
I think so.
I like
So,
those options.
right? Um, well, I know you're doing this wonderful work in the world. And what do you see for like let's say 5 years out? Where do you see your practice and what kind of people do you think you might be impacting?
I've always had this fantasy of, and I have this dream of this custom home I want to build on 35 acres here. And I want to have like a very private retreat with only 10 women with for a whole weekend and a hired chef that will cook us very healthy meals and help them take their life to the next level, whatever that is for each person. But to have this intimate, small, supportive group to remove whatever might be blocking them for that next level of their own personal evolution.
Fantastic. Fantastic. Shoot. I might have to come and join.
I would
I
love
love
for you
the,
to.
yeah, I love the one-on-oneness. I mean, groups and things that we have are fantastic. I mean, the world is kind of that way now. We can connect with people from all over the world. It doesn't really matter, but to be able to go and enjoy the person's energy in person, like that's a big deal, I think, for myself. I know I appreciate attending things like that. So we really look forward to that. You'll keep us up to date on that one, I hope.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I do. I mean, this is a great way to connect with a lot of people around the world, but it's still the energy of being physically together it's just a whole nother game, you know?
Yes, where we can actually, embrace each other physically. If we, if that's allowed, if they're okay with that, personal boundaries
Right.
and space and all that stuff. But yeah, I know from my own journey, the hug is can't beat the hug.
Oh, it's one of the things I fell in love with about my late husband. He was an excellent hugger. And whenever I was feeling challenged, I would just say, I need a hug. And he'd say, oh, tell me all about it. And I says, I don't need to. I just need a hug. You know, he was a teddy bear. I miss that. But I
No,
have
but
women friends here some of them know how to give a really good hug, you know? None of this Sister Pat stuff, you know?
Sister Pat, yeah, it's kind of like that sometimes, isn't it? Nope, we want full hearts.
Yes. Yeah, full body, give it to me.
Yep, hug them tight. So, okay, so we know you're in Colorado, but where can people find you if they're not coming to a retreat? Where can people look you up?
Well, you know that I'm just launching my Women's Empower Network on Facebook. It's a private group, but if you just put in women's apostrophe, well, it's without the apostrophe, but women's plural empower network, you'll find me, and please come and we'll put it in the comments below this video. And I would love to invite you all to come, and I would love to interview you and hear everybody's story and how you overcame whatever conditions were given to you to overcome, because it helped you become who you are and who you're becoming.
That's excellent. Thank you. Yes, we'll make sure we put a link in there for everybody to be able to find you. I'm sure there will be a lot of women who would love to connect with you. And those younger girls, I like to call them girls because I like to still sometimes think of myself as a girl. But I'm trying to grow up and be mature. But I know like younger women who are just kind of getting out there and they, I feel women these days, the younger ones are maybe not quite as shy, maybe not quite as intimidated as myself as I was. Um, but maybe on the other side of that, um, they're trying to be strong and they're trying to figure it out for themselves. So we don't have to do that. We're not alone, right? So anybody out there who's looking forward to connecting with Reverend Coach Jini, I hope you do that very soon because she has a lot to offer. And I'd like to say thank you very much, Jini, for coming and being on the Women's Wellness Network. And thank you all for tuning in. And I hope we'll see you again soon.
Thank you. Namaste. It's awesome. I'm so excited to be on this journey with you. Thank you.
Thank you also. Okay, I smiled a long time. Okay, now I can stop the record. Facebook is done. Now cut the recording. Wherever that is, I can't find it. There's like so many options on here since I upgraded my Zoom. I don't know where it is. There we go.